right. And now, okay. Now if we go live on Instagram. All right. So let me see what it's looking like on the YouTube. Guess I need to refresh it. Hot dog, there it is. Saturday Tax Talks. And let's look what it looks like on. So Ray is on Slack and she's looking at it. Okay. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. All right, so Ray gave us the green light. So we're good on that. So now we want to share it on my personal page. All right, y'all, come on in. Slack and okay, gotcha. It looked really pretty though. It looked real pretty on the social media.
Do it.
It looked
I
real
shared
pretty.
it.
Okay. All right, y'all, come on in, come on in. Bring your friends and come on in. I should bring my tambourine. Come on in. Come on in.
Let me see. What's that?
Come on in. Oh, get ready
Oh, I do. My head down. Okay.
for your blessing. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Oh, come on in. Now, let me see. I'm scared to do anything on Instagram on my phone. I feel if I do something, it might cut off.
You think so?
Okay, so Ray joined on Instagram.
Okay.
Now, one thing I guess we didn't take into consideration is trying to monitor all this stuff, child. We just gonna talk,
We just gonna do what we do,
child. We gonna talk here.
like always. If they
Yeah.
comment, if y'all come on in, let us know if you're live.
Yes, let us
Say
know if you
hi.
want to leave. All right, so I'll make sure I got.
Comment, like, and share.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm texting the team. We're live on IG, Facebook, and YouTube. Okay,
Hmm.
y'all, come on in, come on in. We're gonna go ahead and all right. So as promised, we are talking for the next 4 Saturdays. Saturday Text Talks with Sonja and Latasha. And each Saturday we have a very focused question. And these questions are based off of the questions that we normally get from either our current clients or our prospective clients, whether we've had discovery calls with them or if they attended a workshop and they had a particular question. So we mentioned in our social media, in our emails, and our texts, and all of that. If y'all got questions, I hope you brought your questions. because we should have some time for a Q&A for what we're going to talk about tonight. So don't be afraid to ask your questions about your taxes and your money, because this is the time where you are going to be able to get it for the free, right? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So we just want to make sure, because and then another reason why we are doing this is because our tax prep boot camp, our February boot camp, was definitely a success.
Mhm.
We had 4 entrepreneurs that came in ready to work, and they were definitely transformed with the work that we did with them, and which actually gave us some ideas on how we can support entrepreneurs, later on in the year. So we got some things that we're working on. But if you guys are in the position now where you're like, even if you even think about taxes or even trying to figure out, I know I started a business, but child, I don't know how much I made. You need to be the first person in the tax prep boot camp.
Mhm.
Right. And because of the work that we do and how we like to remain intimate, we're really on we desire to have no more than 10 entrepreneurs in the boot camp. So right now we have 2 that have signed up. So we got 8 more spots. So would will that be you? So hopefully after this discussion tonight, that may be you, because we want to open up some eyes about some things, right? And we say everything as a disclaimer, we're saying everything in love, right? Because we're here to educate. We are teaching ministry here at GIP Financials. So we are going to talk tonight about pricing for bookkeeping and tax filing, right? Because there are a lot of different prices that are going around. And so, especially in our profession, that with bookkeeping and tax filing, we want to make sure that you're aware of the types of pricing that's going on. And that way you're better equipped to understand, so you won't walk away mad and possibly offended because like you think you getting, your head bust. Because of, tax, they cost too much, blah, blah, blah. Right. So just letting you know this. So let's talk. I'm gonna start on the bookkeeping part of it, and then Latasha's gonna pick up on the taxes. So one of the big things, one of the biggest can't talk misconceptions that we hear a lot, especially from the tax filing side. A lot of people assume that because they're getting their taxes filed, that the tax filer is also doing the bookkeeping, particularly for the business. And I bet you about 99% of the case that is not, what's going on, right?
Mhm.
And why this kept bookkeeping is an extra add-on for tax filing, because it's assumed when you're going to the tax prepare that your stuff is already organized and the information is already complete, right? So that's the first thing that I want. Do not assume that your tax preparer is going to help you, or do you not help you, but do your bookkeeping for you. That's not going to be the case. If they do say that they're going to do the bookkeeping for you, you need to ask how what's their normal procedure for organizing the bookkeeping. And I say that because if it's proper bookkeeping, they should be giving you, in addition to your completed tax return, at least a profit and loss statement, at minimum a profit and loss statement. They might call it an income and expense statement, but
Right.
you should have, particularly like I say, if you're a Schedule C, the minimum that they should be giving you is a P&L. If you got maybe an S corp or a higher entity, also maybe if you got, if you're filing a Schedule C, but you may have some equipment and some assets, a balance sheet may also need to be shown as well, right? So ask them, what does that look like, and then also what information are they using when they say, yeah, we're going to do your bookkeeping. Because here's the thing, if they are just using your bank statements, there's a good chance, if they're not giving you a report, they're probably just recording your monthly deposits and your monthly withdrawals, and they're probably just trying to figure it out that way. And I'm telling you now, that's probably the most inaccurate way to do it.
Mhm.
Tell you why. Because most of the income that's coming in there, depending on how it's coming to you, particularly for those of us who use the merchant accounts, right? The PayPals and the Zelles and the Venmos and all of that. And if you have like a checking account and a savings account and you do a lot of transferring between the two, um, there's a good chance your records are going to be inaccurate because a transfer is not the same as a deposit. It's not the same as income, right? And then also when it comes to your expenses, let's go back to those merchant accounts, shall we? So if you are, what's up, CB? CB, Social Inner Circle represent. So if, for example, you get your business checking account and you're using, let's say Square, for example, and you get or PayPal, and you got it set up to where it's doing like every time that you get a sale online, it's sending stuff directly to your checking account daily. That's net. That's not including your merchant fees,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what has to happen on the back end, what truly should be recorded for your tax filing is the actual gross sales, right? So say for example, if the item that they purchased was $50 and you probably only got $48 to your checking account, right? What it should look like on your bookkeeping side is that $50 should be recorded to your income, and then that $2 for the merchant fee should be categorized as an expense. But if they're collecting and doing all your bookkeeping from strictly from your bank statements, then there's a good chance you could be overpaying in taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then also let's just go ahead because we love each other today, don't we? Don't we love each other today? We do. Because guess what? Some of us are still commingling funds. We just are swiping in that business checking account, and you going to Sizzler. Sizzler don't count. Sizzler is not an expense.
It's personal.
It's personal, right? So that's why you need to ask your tax preparer if they are doing for real bookkeeping. You need to know what that looks like, and they should have a deliverable for you, i.e., your profit and loss.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And a lot of folks get caught up with it. So please ask them. And this is one of the reasons why you for real need bookkeeping, right? So that's the biggest thing. Do not assume that your tax preparer is going to do it. Ask them, and then just ask them, how do you normally do your bookkeeping? Do you provide a profit and loss or income statement after you do the bookkeeping? And then also ask them how do they normally get the information, how they analyze it, right? So that's very important. So also make sure that y'all are, asking questions and stuff. So let's talk about how how some bookkeepers, I ain't gonna say all, but I'm gonna walk you through why you laughing. I'm gonna say how some bookkeepers charge, right? And I'm gonna personally walk you guys through how GIP has charged. Because when I first came on, I did my pricing based off of I hired a mentor, I hired a coach to help me set up my bookkeeping business by the name of Dr. Renelli Williams. Dr. Renelli, so if you're listening, shout out to you. But then when I did that, she was saying that she normally charged per transaction, right? Hold on, what they look at that corner said, the Sizzler's personal. Glory to God. I know that's right. Sizzler personal like a mug. So let's get back to bookkeeping. So some bookkeepers charge by transaction, right? And normally what would happen to me when I would be, talking to prospective clients about that, and we do based off of, and it's normally tier based. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have a certain number of transactions, maybe less than 50, less than 100, you get one price. If it's 100 to like maybe 300 transactions, it's this amount and then up, right? Because every transaction has to be tended to. So I want to make that clear, y'all. Every transaction has to be categorized and tended to. So this will normally happen on our discovery call. Oh, well, I think I'll be doing a whole lot in my account. You know what I'm saying? I got about 5 transactions every month. It's just, I have to be taken care of. I got a couple of subscriptions over here. Now I probably got about like 10, 10 transactions. And then we say we need to see, your 3 most recent bank statements. Next thing we know, they got about 10,000 transactions. We like, sir, ma'am,
Listen.
right? And I'm gonna give y'all some real game. So if you take your last 3 checking business checking account statements. It's going to show you the number of deposits you had, the number of withdrawals you had. Add them things up and then
Adam.
average it out because that's all we do. We're doing the average, right? And then keep in mind also, you have to make sure that when we're doing things and we know that your business is going to grow, we have to keep, a record of the number of transactions that you're doing, in your business. Because truth be, come on, because a lot of it really is swiping.
Swiping, no swipe.
Swipe, no swiping all day long, right? So that's why you need a bookkeeper too to be like, I see you doing a lot of swiping on X, Y, Z, right? Or it might just be something with your merchant accounts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because especially with the merchant accounts, there's a lot of bookkeeping on the back end that
Mm-hmm.
we don't we don't talk about at all, right? Especially like baby Square.
Mm-mm. We ain't gonna be in this study. Not today. Mm-mm. That's a whole nother.
That's a whole other line, man. Woo! Right. Let's see. All right. So I see Crystal sharing. So Crystal's
Hey,
on
Karen.
and
Hey, Crystal.
Karen's on. You see it on your side too.
I do, girl.
All right. Cool. That's what's up. Y'all keep sharing and tagging people. That's what's up. And so with that, that's how we normally, especially at the beginning, that's how we price per transaction. We just take your three most recent transactions, we average it out,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like I said, you gotta know your numbers. The numbers don't lie. So that's how we do that. Now, we have grown from transactions to reconciliation. And one of the reasons because of that is now with the merchant accounts, there's a level of we can't just if if we try to price based off a transaction, a lot of times it's going to get pricey to the point
Mm-hmm.
where and then it really doesn't solve the real problem in a lot of cases
Right.
because we still have to reconcile accounts. And so
Mm-hmm.
now we do it based off of the number of accounts we have to reconcile. And what that looks like is you got your business checking account that needs to be reconciled. You got your savings accounts that need to be reconciled. Credit card accounts need to be reconciled, especially if you're using them for business expenses, because they
Mm-hmm.
have to be included, in your P&L. And also, especially from a credit card perspective, it also needs to be recorded on your balance sheet because that's a liability.
Right.
And then your merchant accounts also are treated as bank accounts, right? That need to be reconciled as well. So for your PayPal's that are being that you use for your business account, they need to be connected. And like say if any of your merchant accounts are connected to your business checking account and that money is going in there. So that's a two-step process. The checking
Mm-hmm.
account needs to be reconciled and the merchant account needs to be reconciled. So there's not a duplication
Right.
of income and expenses, right? So there's a lot that goes to that. With most people won't understand that, right? And then when we've seen that happen to where somebody tried to do their own bookkeeping and they did the merchant account was one way, then the checking account was one way, and they actually reported double the income. Now, I know I ain't make that much.
Right.
And then you saw that they had each one showing up in there twice, right? Because you got to remember, especially if those payouts are coming into the checking account, it's being recorded twice.
Right. Duplications.
There's duplication. So yeah, man, it's a lot y'all ain't know about that, huh? So
Mm-mm.
so especially with the bookkeeping, we normally charge per the number the accounts that have to be reconciled. And some bookkeepers may charge, those merchant accounts separately, right? It just really depends. But I just wanted y'all to be aware of, particularly with those merchant accounts. Those things are, it's kind of like level two of the bookkeeping. It is, right? That we have to watch out for. So one of the things that to help us help you in your pricing, you have to be extremely honest with us about how you with the number of accounts that you have, account transactions and stuff like that. Because when we do financial diagnostics,
We
We
find a
see
whole
we
lot of
look at a
stuff.
whole lot. Well, you said I did X, Y, Z, and I got these accounts. And then we start going, especially you get QuickBooks, or we start just going there, connecting the dots and asking all types of questions. Right. And then we see a lot of situations where some accounts do need to be, added and connected. Like we'll see some transactions from a particular, place, and it's only showing like the expenses. Maybe you might be using a personal credit card for business, right? Um, if you're still commingling, you can't just record those expenses, especially in QuickBooks, right? It's easier to do it in a spreadsheet, but you can't do it like that in QuickBooks. Um, so you just have to kind of be aware of that. And if that is the case, you still need to have somebody give you guidance on how to do that the right way,
Right.
right? So that's two of the ways that most bookkeepers charge. Either it's going to be by transaction or the number of accounts that have to be reconciled. So another thing to think about is as entrepreneurs, you have to really consider um, bookkeeping as an investment and not as an expense, because this is the proactive stuff that you need to have before you go to, like, you're gonna try to do your own bookkeeping, get your taxes filed. The tax file, it's tax season, so they just churning them out, right? They may sit down there and talk to you, they may not, and then a month later you get a letter from the alphabet board, and then you like, what in the world? And then it's May or June because you filed hopefully before the deadline, because the IRS, they got to take their time and do stuff. And unfortunately, God forbid, it's not the case. You reach out to your tax preparer and tax filing season is over,
Listen.
right? And that's not what you want to make, especially as a business person. You want to make sure that you have financial experts that work you around. So when you do get that letter, God forbid you don't get it, but sometimes it happens like that. That we can come in and take a look at it and see if we can kind of iron it out
Mm-hmm.
to help you out, right? So just be thinking about that. And especially like with GIP Financials and Legacy Pro, we have solutions for every budget, right? To help you out. Because at the end of the day, you still need expert level support. That's why we're doing these lives, right? Because everybody got to start somewhere. If you're a startup business and you still need expert level support, you can listen to this forever, right? And maybe just send us a hey big head in the DM. Or schedule a discovery call. Ain't nothing wrong with it, right?
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Or
Right.
we do plenty of workshops, like with
Mm-hmm.
organizations that compensate us to give y'all the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of those things. So it's ways that you can invest in yourself before you have to invest like dollars. But just hear me clearly. If you say you're gonna be an entrepreneur, you're gonna have to spend some money in this space. You're gonna have to.
And it's
It's just
worth
different
it.
because it's worth it. Go ahead and talk. I feel in your shoe,
No,
but
no, I'm gonna let you talk, but I'm just saying, like, you have to not look at it as a loss, because what's going to be a loss is you don't do your bookkeeping and you end up owing a lot of money because you didn't take the necessary time to actually, figure out what was deductible and what wasn't. So then you get a
Mhm,
letter, and then we're having to do all this work on the back end, and it's going to cost you
mhm.
more money to fix the problem. So yeah, it is worth it. It's investing in your business. That's what it's called.
Right, right. Because you got to remember, CEO, you have an asset that nobody
Mm-hmm.
can take away from you. That's the most important. That's your time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that I know that I'm learning as GIP is growing. I can't even waste time on things that my brain can't even fathom. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Funnels. Uh-uh. I'm gonna have somebody for that. I kind of got an idea. I could sketch out kind of what I kind of want that thing to look like,
But
because
that's
that's the teacher in me. But I expect the expert to be like, take what I have and make it beautiful.
and do it for me.
and do it for me, please, pretty please. Right? So you got to just be prepared for that. And that's why, hello, cash flow. That's why you need bookkeepers and stuff too, so we can help you. If you need a funnel built and it's gonna cost you want to get your funnel built by a certain individual, a certain company, and your budget is like this. So we can say, hey, based off your cash flow, you could probably spend about this, then the third on
Right.
it.
Right.
Or if you want, um, James Bond and them to do your funnel, James Bond charging the strip, then you might have to save up a couple of months to get
Right.
James Bond to do it.
Like
You
you
want that
said,
double
but
oh
start
007
where you
funnel.
are.
I'm
Right.
just playing.
Start where you are. Like you said, we have packages for every level, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. Exactly. So um we're gonna keep going. So what does a typical bookkeeping package look like? Right. And especially for the sake of compliance, right? Just making sure to keep the alphabet boys off of you. Most bookkeeping packages are going to require these three components: categorization of your transactions, that's your income and your expenses, reconciling your accounts, making sure that all the transactions that are showing on your bank account are showing up either in your accounting software or whatever type of software that your bookkeeper is using. And then the financial reporting. They should be providing you at least a profit and loss. Some may provide a P&L, a balance sheet. We provide P&L, balance sheet, and cash flow statement, right? Because those reports are important, right? And then on top of that, not only do we provide those things for you, but we also give some general analysis of what to look for, and just to give you a heads up on some things that are going on, right? So for GIP, normally what we do, and especially for our customers who have QuickBooks, so we do like our personal, like one-to-one report card every quarter. But for the month after we reconcile, we normally, on as a regular practice, we save those reports in the custom reports area. So they'll always have access to their stuff. And then if they want to, go into the profit and loss and customize, they want to do a comparison or something like that. We even show them how to go in the reports and play with the metrics and stuff like that. So they'll be able to see it in different ways. So, from a compliance standpoint, if you're looking for somebody to help you, at least make sure that they're categorizing your transactions, reconciling your account, and providing those reports for you at minimum. That's what we call the compliance package, right? Now, there are some services that you will have to pay extra for with bookkeeping and or accountants. One is payroll. Hello, S corps. Hello, LLC is taking the S corp election. And I'm gonna get on my soapbox for 2 seconds. Y'all gotta start getting on this social media, listening to these folks about these S corps. You can't just go like you going to the Circle K to say, "Hey, can I get an S corp and just get it off the shelf like a bag of potato chips?" It don't work like that. The S corp is a tax election, right? If you are an LLC and your net profit after expenses have been taken is at least, we would say, about 60K,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then that's when it's going to be advised for you to take the S corp election. Why? Because if you're going to take advantage of the tax savings that folks are talking about on social media, you have to have the profit to be able to
Mm-hmm.
take the savings. Because where the savings comes from is that the owner has to be paid on payroll and be compensated what they call a reasonable salary, right? So the IRS doesn't necessarily say if you're an accountant, you got to make this much, but it has to go based on industry, right? So you got to make sure that, whenever that time comes, right, that you're able to say, this is what, industry standard is for what I do. So if you're an S corp, you take the S corp election, you got to be making at least $60,000 minimum in profit a year. You got to put yourself on payroll. And when you put yourself on payroll, you also have to get a for real bookkeeping platform. QuickBooks Payroll, ADP, Gusto, Paychecks, all of them, right? And you got to
Mm-hmm.
pay yourself out of your checking account, of your business checking account, and pay yourself, right? Just like if you was on your regular job, and hear me clearly. Not only do you have to do that, but you now, because you are an employer, your business is an employer, you have to register with your state, okay? Your state's Department of Labor and probably either your Department of Revenue if your state does income tax. Tennessee does not do income tax, right? So we only have to, as an employee, we only have to register with the Department of Labor because you still have to do quarterly unemployment tax. So, but I also have, employees in other states. So I have to do that 3 times with other states and with Tennessee. So trust me, I'm telling you from experience, right? So you have to do this. So that's where all of the extra stuff. So when you talk, you listen to all that stuff on social media, they're not telling you this part.
The
They just tell you go
requirements.
right. They just tell you go get an escort and they ride
Mhm.
off in their G wagon. Cause but Latasha and I share a video with her. I was like, "Girl, look at this. Tell me what you think this person is saying." Cause it was not
Mis-
good at all.
they were misleading the people.
It was right.
It was inaccurate.
Yeah.
Like people say stuff because it sounds good, but then it's like that caption is misleading. Like there's more to it than just becoming an escort. Like there's a lot to it. Like you have to follow certain rules.
Mm-hmm.
And now, guess what? Now you got two returns you got to file. It ain't just one. Now you got two. So it's just a lot that people miss because they see something on social media. Like, do your own research, or if you have a bookkeeper or accountant, like just ask them.
Exactly. And on top of that, going back to the escort, you can't just wake up one morning and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna file as an escort." There's a
Nope.
form you got to fill out that the IRS has to give you the okay to file.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't talking about that either.
Listen,
So that's all I'm gonna say about that. But y'all keep listening to them folks you want
look,
to.
because that's a whole nother
That's
live either by itself. Escorts.
woo escort. My goodness, that was something there. So payroll and then accounts receivable. If you're a service-based business and you're invoicing individuals, you got to make sure that every invoice has a payment attached to it, right? Because what you want to make sure as you're doing your monthly reconciliation for the month, you also need to be tracking how many invoices have you sent out for the month, how many have been paid, and which one of them jokers ain't paid you yet. Because you got to get your money together. Like, no, hey big head, how you doing? You got to make some hey big head calls.
A lot.
A lot.
Well, hopefully not a lot, but
Not,
you know,
but I'm just saying. It happens.
it does happen.
Right? So you got payroll, accounts receivable, and then accounts payable. Now we don't see a whole lot of accounts payable, but let's just be honest. A lot of us that we use subscriptions, and that's automatically debited out of our account. So we don't do a whole lot of like what I call formal bill pay. We normally see that mostly with like nonprofit organizations or larger businesses, to where the people who they're paying out maybe require a check or something like that,
Mhm.
right? So that's where that comes from. And then like you'll have a QuickBooks bill pay or Emilio or a bill.com or something like that that helps you with the accounts payable. And then also, and we see this more so with nonprofits too, if they have employees that have to do like expense accounts, or if they have like a credit card, an issued credit card, they have to keep track of their expenses. That's a part of AP as well. So those services are going to cost you extra. And then last but certainly not least, say if you are a business and you're applying for a grant or a loan, right? You bring that thing to us and you say like, I'm looking to get a loan from this bank. They're asking for a P&L and a balance sheet. Bam, we can do that. But if the bank is asking you for something outside of the scope of work that you've engaged with your bookkeeper or accountant, like maybe the bookkeeper or account may have to do a portion of the application for you, just know that that's out of scope, and that will probably end up an extra charge or maybe an hourly rate or something like that. right? Or even if it's a grant application and they're asking specifically for income stuff outside of like how much did you make last year that you could just easily pull off the P&L, then we might have to go on there. Some grantors like to ask for multi-year
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. Sometimes you might need some help, like how do I even explain this? Or better yet, they might ask you, why you need this money, man? And you're gonna need somebody to help you explain to justify the funds that you're requesting. That's outside of scope. And so just expect to pay for that. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that y'all had just some underlying, stuff about bookkeeping. So I'm gonna pass on the torch over here to Latasha. So she gonna talk about taxes, baby. Get ready. I hope y'all already had pen and paper, but this
Listen.
we talked a good time earlier today talking about what we're gonna share with y'all. So go ahead, Tasha. Preach today. Preach the word. Hey, touch. Preach the word.
Okay, I got you. I got you. So, in today's day and age, a lot of tax preparers, you will pay based on, the different schedules that have to be filed. Also, some tax preparers, they'll charge you based on how many W-2s you have, how many 1099s you have. And one thing I do for sure is, I ask all the questions up front so I can give you your fee and your pricing on the front end so you can decide if you want to stay and pay or if you decide you want to go somewhere else to see if you can get a different price. And also, if you have a business term, example, in S Corp, that's going to cost you a different fee versus if you just have an actual 1040 with no Schedule C or anything like that. So be prepared when you go to your tax preparer. And whether it's me or somebody else, like when you go to them, I mean, if they don't share the price, ask them for that price so that on the back end, you ain't surprised. I see a lot of people complaining about the fee they pay, but I'm like, y'all should have asked them up front, like what they charge. Because anytime I onboard a client, like before I even start any work, we're going to walk through everything and I'm going to say, this is how much, based on the information, based on what, the forms I have to file for you, this is what my fee is. Because I'll be honest, I do charge based on forms. So where you have a 1040, Schedule C, a Schedule E for rent, like I charge for those different forms, and mainly because they take us time. Like, and then if you have a business and you come to me and you don't have your books in order, like it's very time consuming to go through whether it's bank statements, receipts, or anything like that. It's very time consuming to just walk through how your business perform. So that's why it's always nice and a lot easier if you have a P&L, if you have a balance sheet, and you provide that up front so we can give you accurate pricing. Because otherwise, we're going to have to come back and be like, okay, based on my assessment, the fee is no longer the fee. Like we're gonna have to adjust pricing just because there was misinformation on the front end. Whoo, child, that's a lot, ain't it?
But they need to know. They need to know.
Listen, and also, if you need your taxes amended, like that's gonna cost an additional fee because we're gonna have to again basically repeat the process of what the previous tax preparer did and correct any other errors and any other mistakes that the IRS is trying to address. So that's gonna cost. If you file an extension, that's another fee. I mean, you can file extensions yourself, but as a business, you should probably have someone else filing that extension for you because there are certain questions and things that's going to have to be answered, like how much you plan to pay in taxes, or do you think you're going to owe taxes? So if I'm having to calculate that, then that's also time you're having to pay for that if I'm the one that's actually doing it. So don't be surprised if you say, hey, can you file an extension for me? And I say, yeah, this is how much I charge to file an extension. Because again, it takes time to do those type of things. And plus, the software you're using is also going to charge a fee for that. I mean, you can go to H&R Block and do it yourself, but if you don't know how to do it, then that's when you hire the experts to actually fill out that information for you. And some will actually charge you like a transmitter fee, or if you pay, like right now, there's an option to pay your fee out of your refund. So there are additional fees that the bank is going to charge, like that I don't see. So again, if you say, okay, I want to pay you by refund, so there are additional fees included in that because it's like their processing fee that they're going to charge you. So again, don't be surprised when that happens. But again, for me, I tell everybody like this is about how much you're going to end up charging based on whether you pay me on up front or whether you pay me if you were to receive a refund. All right. And cleanup. I think I mentioned that already. We kind of went over that. So let's say, for instance, you get a letter from the IRS and you filed your taxes yourself. And like I said, if an amendment needs to be filed, we're going to ask you about, let's see what numbers you use on the front end. So we can basically accurately price how much it's going to cost us to not only amend your taxes for you, but also to actually clean up the prior year in order to file your taxes accurately this time. Because a lot of times, if you're not reporting, if you're not tracking correctly, you're not reporting correctly. You're just guessing. And then you get hit with that IRS bill and you be like, dang, what happened? So it's definitely, why are you looking at me like that, son? It's
Wait a minute. No,
definitely,
I'm not. Girl, okay. You
wait,
keep talking, and I think I got a blooper. I got a blooper story because
you
I
got a
already
blooper
know
story.
I got a blooper story already because I. So you can't see me.
Well, I don't know. You just, I think you froze. That's why I was like, why are you looking at me like that? It's because you froze.
Okay. So as you're taking a sip, I was on Instagram. I was as you were talking. I was checking the traps. I was checking the social media traps. I was on Instagram. We got a lot of folks. I just want to shout out all our folks that are watching on Instagram. So Ray, our podcast producer, is on. Carlin Henderson, Mr. R.D. Harris, uh, Key Michon, which is Kiana, one of our clients.
Hey,
Um,
y'all.
yeah, Mr. R.D. Harris said he was feeling the love. All right. And Jarve Mills, Face Finances joined, and Melanin Generous joined. And she did say, I did freeze. So what
You
I was
did.
doing as I was going in between, now like on my end, I can't see myself.
Oh, dang.
So hold on, I'm gonna try some right quick. Okay, that ain't work. All right. I'm scared to touch anything else. But y'all can
Oh,
hear me though, kind of.
oh, yeah. We can hear you. I just thought you was looking at me like a certain way. I was like, girl, what I do? What I say?
Uh-uh. No, that was a face of I did something I wasn't handle business on.
And now it's captioned online.
Right. And that is on black. Okay. But we gonna keep teaching
Okay,
because
we gonna keep going. It's technology. What you say? Be teching.
the tech be taken, baby. That is hilarious.
Okay. One other thing I will mention is that if you have prior year returns that have to be filed, um, that's going to cost as well because you're having to do multiple years back to back in order to get you caught up. So that shouldn't be a surprise, but some people are surprised by the fee because again, if you have 3 years that needs to be filed, then you're going to get hit with a larger bill from your tax preparer versus if you're just doing 1 year at a time. You still there, Sonya?
I'm still here.
You
I'm
still there?
I'm asking the Instagram people, can y'all see us?
Okay.
So
Um,
Melanie DeGeneres says she can hear.
okay.
Um, and then Mr. R.D. Harris said he'll be contacting us for services. So we
Well,
offer
come
the dick
on,
in
come
hand.
on.
Yes,
Facebook, y'all still with us?
child.
Listen.
I tell
um,
you the truth.
but one thing I will mention also is advisory services.
Yes.
Like I said, Sonya mentioned that a basic bookkeeping package is just meant for compliance. But if you're looking to, for help in growing your business, like don't be afraid to invest in advisory services. Like if you're needing budgeting, cash flow management, or even tax planning. Tax planning is something I'm actually starting to offer now. So it's like, don't be afraid to invest in those things and don't count it as a loss, because again, our job is to help you throughout the tax season, so that, or not the tax season, but throughout the year, so that by the time tax season comes, you are prepared. Like we offer quarterly check-ins, so we can, review your numbers, to go over your goals, to figure out how we can help you. And it's always considered an investment. Like we love to partner with our different clients just to be like, hey, I'm seeing this trend in your bookkeeping. I'm seeing this trend in your numbers. Let me oh, you back, girl. You back. Okay. And you ain't messed none up.
I mean, we come this far by faith.
I was just talking about advisory services.
Oh, yes.
So cash
Yes.
flow management, forecasting. We at the beginning of the year, we always ask about, the different goals that you have in your business, so that we can, help you track those things. So be okay with investing in those things, because it's going to help you pay off in the long run. Especially if you're not really good with numbers, then you have a team of experts that's going to say, hey, I'm reviewing your budget. You're over budget in this area. Do we need to revise a few things, or start helping you with your cash flow? Like, okay, your cash is trending low. This is why. So again, it's not, don't, I keep saying this, don't count it as a loss. Count it as an investment. Like, number one, you can write off on your taxes too. But that's not the biggest thing. Like the biggest thing is being able to partner with people who are going to help you grow your business. So if you're not looking to grow your business, then I have a DIY tracker and you can track your numbers yourself. But you know, I'm gonna go and plug that. And if you join the boot camp and you don't have QuickBooks, you'll have the DIY tracker. It comes in the fee that you pay.
Exactly. And so any other time, y'all, I would show y'all the flyers and stuff with the way the stuff going on right now. I don't want to disconnect anything. So with that being said, so I hope that this gave y'all some good information. And again, if you have questions, now is the time to post those questions. I know we can see the stuff on uh Facebook,
Mhm.
YouTube, Instagram. I'm gonna have to toggle between the two. Um, and so there you go. CB
Yes,
partnerships for growth
partnerships for
matter,
growth. Absolutely, Courtney.
right? Because just think about it like this: every entrepreneur is an expert in in a particular thing, or maybe a range of things, right?
Hmm.
But when it comes to the holistic part of the entrepreneur, no man is an island. You need a squad behind you.
Hmm.
Right. I know they talk about have you ever heard of the bail system? I guess what the bail system is for entrepreneurs, the banker, the accountant, the insurance agent, the
Hmm.
attorney, the insurance agent, and the lawyer.
The lawyer. Speaking of
Uh-huh.
insurance,
AIS.
make sure y'all got insurance out here on your business. Liability insurance. Especially you have an LLC, you should have liability insurance. Keep going, girl. Keep going. I'm just.
Ugh, that's not even man. I'm just that's a whole nother that's a whole nother one. Cause guess your girl this year had to get liability. Because before I just had errors and omissions. So that's professional liability. You got general liability. So you got to have what I call your EZL insurance. And then you got workers comp. I had your workers comp 'cause I got a squad. You know what I'm saying? You have to
Mhm.
have different insurances to cover yourself. And I'm now a full-time entrepreneur, right? So now I have to consider what happens to me and how that affects
Mhm.
my house, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, all that matters, right? Because
Mhm.
you matter, CEO. Tell you are an income producing asset.
Right.
Keep talking about that all the time. So
And And
Go ahead.
business insurance actually, like depending on what company you use, you can get business insurance easily for $20 a month. Like
Hmm.
easily. There are
Right.
a lot of companies out here that offer general liability. You just tell them the type of business you have and then pay that $20 a month. Again, it's an investment. It's not a loss because it's one of those things where they be like, you don't feel like you need it, but you need it. Like, listen, I'm trying to protect everything over here at Legacy Pro Accounting.
Ain't in mind. Ain't in mind. Because yeah, insurance is better. It's just like with credit sometimes where they say it's better to have it and not need it, and vice versa. And then
Hmm.
another thing that a good thing that Latasha brought up is that especially as you're starting out, you may not need like a certain amount,
Right,
especially when it comes to liability. Now, when you're doing like contracting, if you're trying to get partnerships with corporations and stuff like that, they may have a minimum. They probably won't even fool with you unless your liability is covered at a certain amount,
right.
right? So if you're not looking to do contracts at this point, then you can probably, get, the 100K, the 200K, 500K or something like that. Just to make sure that you get enough to be able to cover all your assets, and things like that in case something, God forbid, happens.
Right.
Right. So, absolutely. So, with that being said, let's talk about the tax prep boot camp. We got 9 minutes. So, for those of you, if you've been listening to us and any of the things that we talked about popped you upside your head, you're like, child, that is me. Right? Especially for those of you who are using merchant accounts. Please, please, I'm like James Brown, please. If Latasha was next to me, she would put the little robe on over my shoulders. Please, please. Join the tax prep boot camp, right? Um, and I'll be honest, if for done for you bookkeeping for GIP financials, that's an annual $4,200 investment, $350 a month if you have 1 to 2 accounts that need to be reconciled, right? The tax prep boot camp is for those entrepreneurs that probably aren't at that level right now, but they still need hand holding,
Hmm.
right? So the investment for the tax prep boot camp is $597. And what that comes with is one, if you don't have not tax software, but accounting software such as QuickBooks, we already got that solved. Latasha has a DIY tracker, which is a formula-based spreadsheet that not only will you be able to add your transactions and get them categorized, but as you're putting that information in, it's going to auto calculate your profit and loss. It's going to total up your income, your expenses. It's going to give you some very basic cash flow information. And it also has information where you can put, stuff in for your balance sheet as well, right? So you already got all the three components, the balance sheet, the P&L, and the cash flow. Now, you don't have a separate cash flow statement, but you have some cash flow data that you can
Right.
use to plan and move your business forward. We're going to walk you through how to do that. The workshop, the boot camp consists of 2 days, April the 10th and the 17th. We meet at 7 p.m. I think the first session we stayed on to about 8:30. The second one we was on there to be a little bit after 9 because we were just kicking it, having fun and learning, But with that, you're gonna learn some very basic things about your entity because quiet is kept, and that's what we're gonna talk about on the 23rd. Like, what else are you responsible for during tax time? If you got to be very well versed in your entity and how it's affecting you tax wise, right? So you got to know that we're going to provide you with an entity checklist, an entity folder checklist. Every entrepreneur needs to have all of their necessary documents for their business in a folder. I was just a physical folder as well as a digital folder, right? And we're going to be talking about those things. We're also going to send you the checklist, right? And then we're also going to talk about how to categorize your transactions. The first class, we're just walking through categorization,
Hmm.
right? Second class, we're going to walk through a brief review of the categorization, some Q&A, but then also we're going to walk you through how to reconcile your accounts and walk you through the reporting. Now, you will have to do some homework between the
Right.
10th and the 17th. You're going to have to categorize your stuff, right? We're going to be checking on you, sending you emails. even as you pay your deposit, the $50 deposit, you can still we'll still be sending you pre-work before the boot camp. So it's less than a month away. And drum roll, you can pay your whole tuition through Klarna now, right? So you can set up your interest free pay as you go type of things. As soon as you click on the link right here, the tax prep deposit, it'll give you that option to pay through Klarna. So then you can manage your cash flow. See, we already thought about everything for y'all. We thought about everything. So you got to make sure that you're setting your business up, for success. So again, y'all join us on the tax prep boot camp. It's a 597 investment. This is a tax write off. This is professional development for you.
Also mentioned that if you sign up, I will file your extension for you for free. Look at that.
That's
That's the
right.
added value you get. You sign up, I will file your extension for you for free. Because of course, the deadline is the 15th. So instead of rushing to file your taxes, we'll help you get your numbers together and get your extension filed so that you can join the boot camp. But I want to tell y'all that entity folder, man, listen, it was a game changer for me. I was like, Sonja, you a genius over here. Child, I got my entity folder. So you want to know how that works, you can come on and join the boot camp. That
Exactly.
was probably my favorite part. I'm gonna be honest. But I already use QuickBooks. So that
Right.
entity folder was listen, I'm gonna keep talking about that.
Well, thank you. Because I mean, DJ Quick said, if you stay ready, you ain't got to
You
get
ain't gotta
ready.
get ready.
You
Listen,
want the lenders and the grantors to be like, oh, these folk here ain't playing. Let the folks send you a list of documents and you send them within the hour. Them folks like, oh
baby,
yeah, you
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 share that
you
folder. Here
ready.
my stuff right here.
Right. You ready. So
Right.
yeah. And then think about this too, y'all. You got a bookkeeper and a tax preparer. As soon as you go through the boot camp, you got your information, and then all you gotta do is send it to Latasha and let her get your taxes filed.
Hmm.
That's the type of value that we provide. And we want to make sure that not only are you just getting one side of the coin done, but you're getting covered on both sides. Right. With people that hopefully you like us, and then most importantly, you trust us. Right. So make sure that you take advantage. Look at the click on the link. I don't know if you can click on that, but I'll post it. Y'all get it.
In the
And
chat
so
on the
yes,
page.
right. And so we got 3 minutes. So I want to make sure I do this and we end before the Instagram thing pop off because live stream said we only got an hour on Instagram. So next Saturday, March 23rd, we're talking about what else am I responsible for during tax time. So we got to talk about the compliance with the state and the other things that normally occurs around during the tax season that you guys may not be aware of. So Latasha, did you have anything else that you wanted to any closing thoughts?
I don't have any closing thoughts other than join us for our next live.
Join us next Saturday. So we're gonna be on for the next today, the 23rd, the 30th, and the 6th. So right before the tax prep boot camp. So y'all just go ahead and make the decision. Join us for the tax prep boot
Mhm.
camp again, right? You can pay the whole 597 through Klarna and set up your stuff in easy payments and
Right.
stuff like that. All
Yes.
right.
Me and Sonya, whole vibe. I just want y'all to know,
We
like the people have
are.
said,
We
like
are.
they had a time with us. So I'm just
Exactly.
saying, just saying.
Right. So I'm just saying, yeah, we are a whole vibe. So I hope y'all enjoyed yourselves this evening. Please let us know your feedback, and we're going to catch you on the next round. So thank y'all for this time, and we will see y'all again. Peace.